Well, hello guys. So I'm thinking this is going to be our last video with the road here, our 81 El Camino. Basically what I need to accomplish in this one is getting the AC system working, going back over the tune on the fuel injection, replacing the transmission pan gasket, and just going back over it, making sure all our gauges work, our lights work, our fluid levels are good, running it down the road, the brakes are working and in adjustment. Just make sure it can go back home. So come on, let's dive into this thing and see if we can get something to work here. So I'm going to start with our compressor. Last few times I've started this thing up and moved it, the belts have just squealed like a pig getting loose at Golden Corral, you know. So, and what I've come to find out is I think our compressor clutch is kind of locked up, or the compressor itself, whatever. Either way, I guess it would just be the pulley. Yeah, the pulley. Anyway, so I'm going to take that off first thing. Then I need to make sure it's going to start and idle, and for the sake of the charging process of the AC system, right? I don't know if I needed to do that one. Some guy got them tight, that's for sure. Now on this, I need to, there you go, just do that. I pull my breather. There we go, and then I can slide this down, and we can get our belt off. I'm going to get my new one and see what I need to do here. So I'm a bit disappointed. I got both new low and high pressure lines. Oh, made in Malaysia. This is going to be awesome. And the low side was wrong. And I mean, honestly, that's the one I have the least trepidation about, so we may just run with it. I don't know. We'll see. Otherwise, finding another one's going to be a little job in itself. How do you, do I have an A6 or an H6? Looks like our wiring is wrong. Well, might go in there. Okay. This thing has PBS, and I'm not talking the news network, or the TV network, or whatever it's pretending to be, you know. This thing has persistent belt squeal, which I agree works out to about the same thing, but either way, my alternator didn't like the way it was adjusted, so I have shimmed it a little bit differently, and it's dead on the money. It's got to work. But I wasn't getting any voltage out of the thing, not on the gauge, not at the battery. Took it home, tested it on my test stand, and it's doing 15.5 volts, so I don't know. I'm pretty sure we were charging earlier, so I've got to figure out what's going on there. My power steering belt was also squealing a little bit, not nearly as bad. It looks right on the money, so if that persists, If we still have a PBS there, then we got to figure out what else we can do. Otherwise, I had a leaking oil pressure sensor for the light. I am replacing that at the moment. Before we start it again, I'm also not getting oil pressure on the gauge. I tested that unit with air and a multimeter before I reinstalled it. I don't know. We'll find out. We got this, just what happens when you're doing this kind of thing. So we got a lot of little piddly things to do and work through. So I'm going to keep on the oil pressure sensor for now. And then I guess whatever I feel like doing next, I'll do. I don't know. Alright, I'm going to see what works and what doesn't. Well, I wonder. I should check the battery with a voltmeter again. Still that stupid squeal. Well, what's the battery saying here? What do we got? Oh, that said 13. It wasn't doing that before. So we are charging now. We are charging. Why is my new gauge not working? So I felt the pulley when I was messing with belts. I felt the pulley on the water pump, and man, it was hot. Way too hot for having just started the engine. I mean, I don't think this is turning hard enough. I don't think the belts were slipping on this. But goodness, trying to remember if this came on the block. I'd have to go back in the videos and look at pictures and see if this came on that crate motor. I know it's a brand new pump, but you gotta be kidding me. Nothing I can do about it. I gotta get a new one anyway. Getting down to the nitty-gritty now. We're almost there. Unfortunately, now you know when you've made an impression on your parts man, you know, at your favorite parts house, when they call you and tell you they're closing early and they won't be there for the weekend. And that was the case with mine. Actually, I had called him about this alternator and he had one on the shelf. So he was thinking of me that I might stop by, you know. It's not something that they just do out of habit. It's hot. Wow. Mama. Oh, let's see now. Back from town. Went to my local parts store. The other one that I was talking about earlier is 40 miles away. I really like using those guys. This one in town used to be something I would just steer clear of. Has new ownership and they're doing a lot better. they had one on the shelf. And I think I got what I need, honestly. Now I know I reviewed the historical footage, which is my old videos, and indeed this did come installed on our crate motor. And, you know, basically ATK is taking the cheapest pump I'm sure they can find from overseas. You know, I won't say where they're from, but it rhymes with China. And slapping them on there. And honestly, guys, spend $20, $30 more and charge your customer $20, $30 more on a water pump, on an intake, on a distributor, and they are going to be a lot more inclined to be return customers. You know, if your customers run your stuff and it only makes them tear the engine back down shortly afterwards, are they really going to be that enthused about coming back? I'm telling you. Anyway, you know, there's no casting numbers. There's no information at all. It is completely generic. So, this one's got part number on it, casting date, and so forth and so on. So at least, you know, who knows where it's from. But at least it's somewhat normal, right? Okay, anyway, I'm going to have to squirt some paint in its general direction. It's the end of the day about here, so I'm going to do that and reinstall it tomorrow. There was also absolutely no Permatex or anything like that. When I install a water pump, I always put Permatex on the water pump side, stick the gaskets on, and then install it. So just another little clue that it is not mine, because it came from China. Now I'm getting my AC compressor lined out here. Is it as good as the original Frigidaire was? No, I seriously doubt that. This is a Four Seasons unit, so hopefully there's some quality behind it. I don't know. Anyway, what I do like about it is the outside dimensions do give me a little bit more room than the original. That is kind of nice. On Rock Auto, this line was supposed to be correct for this vehicle. It is 100% wrong, so I can't use that. The old ones look decent, you know, so I may try running them and see what happens. If we have a leak, not the end of the world. The other line I did buy new because the other one was mangled, so we'll get that on. But first things first, accumulator. So I had my accumulator on the car, and I was fitting the bottom line here, and I had to massage it, you know. Not a perfect fit, but with the help of the vise, we got it to go in there. Massage is such a gentle word, you know. Anyway, it should work. The compressor says it has 3 ounces of oil. They sent along 8 more ounces, an 8-ounce bottle of PAG oil. So I'm putting 3 more in the accumulator. Just like that. I really need to double check my capacity. I don't have that information here. Who can I call? Not the Ghostbusters. I will try to put that call in as soon as I end this segment. That's going in nice now. Screw is here. Get our bracket going. And I can just throw that. If I need more oil, I can throw it in the line, or either line, really. We've got that bottom one tight, that connection. Get our switch there. Get a wrench for that. Keep going. Well, we're almost done here with our AC system with what I hope is going to be good enough. Got that old line back on. This is, you know, a questionable high pressure line at best. I don't know where we went wrong here. Anyway, got online and I found one from Original Air Group. What actually happened is I ordered one. I never heard back from them, other than they acknowledged my order, but it was like months. And then, you know, all the parts you order on a project, I started to question whether I actually did order one. So then I got online, I ordered another one. I got one. I sent an email requesting they cancel the first order, because digging through emails, I eventually did figure out I did order one long ago. At any rate, I eventually got charged and shipped 2 of these, like several months apart. So, if anyone needs one of these, I have one listed on eBay for sale. Such is life. So I think I've been calling it a 4 Seasons. As I look closer, it's actually sold, it's actually a standard product, Standard Motor Products. Pretty sure I got it through Rock Auto, and it has been, willingly admit, it has been a handy little kit. You can see compressor, the accumulator, expansion device, and the oil. In addition to that, they threw in, I've got them all in this little box here right now, but more than enough O-rings of assorted sizes for everything we're doing here. 134 and our 12 caps, valves, all kinds of stuff. I've just had no lack for anything I actually need. So we're going to get our expansion device out of here, and then we are complete. There's the old one. I've got PAG oil on the new O-ring. Okay, I will hook our high pressure line up and we are 100% ready to go. So yeah guys, I'm just playing around. Got my vacuum pump going and we are at 27, 28 inches of water here. Pulling a vacuum. Where's the switch? There we go. Shut her off. Anyway, no significant leaks, so that's a good thing. Like I say, I'm just playing around. I'll leave this overnight, see if we get any drop by the morning. That way I know if we need to go back over our connections or maybe we have another component, evaporator, condenser that's leaking, or the big old low side hose. But yeah, just want to get an idea. I don't even have refrigerant. When I do, I will get some with leak detector in it. But just kind of messing around. So far, looking good. Okay, I'm going to remove these things for now. I actually want to move the car in the other part of the shop, put it up on the lift, and check some stuff out. But I wanted to show you before I disconnect them. And this is overnight, mind you. It has not budged an inch. So, inch of water or an inch otherwise. Got her up on the lift now. At the moment, I am chasing electrical gremlins. I was just up underneath. I replaced the transmission pan gasket. Not sure if I have a leaking line also, possibly where the kickdown cable goes in. We just got to run it and double check that. However, all four of my gauges, my new gauges, I wasn't having much of a reaction. Just like I say, just chasing gremlins. Temp gauge, I believe, was working. Fuel gauge was pegged past full. Oil pressure was going on and off. Don't know yet what the deal is there, but I just came back here and got the old gas gauge tester out. Hooked that up instead of the when I go empty on the tester, it goes full on the gauge. Go to full. Is it going down? Anyway, I think more than anything I had a bad ground. Yeah, it's slowly going down. I'm going to try going back to half. Go back to half. And I don't even know if that tester's too good. I've got another one at home. Now it's going down. I think the ground was the main issue on the sender. You can see that. It's probably at half from our vantage point. It looks a little over. So now I'm going to go to full. Just messing around. And it goes up. It goes up either way. Huh, that's interesting. Well, I brought my tester from home, and it does react now with each change of the switch. So now I've got it to where it's showing empty. So we got a bad sending unit. Unfortunately, these are no longer available in every parts store, you know. So I'm gonna have to special order that. It looks like Jegs, Summit, your regular parts houses all have an answer for it, but just don't have it here. Alright, just messing around, double checking that I even have a clue what I'm talking about here. Got my hot wire hooked up underneath, got it grounded. And we have an empty tank. Go to full. This is a new one, by the way. Should have explained. And we're climbing. So I will drop that down enough to put this new one in, and we'll be good to go on all the gauges. Excellent. Okay, we got the fuel sending unit figured out. Voltage is working. I just had squeal, squeal, squeal out of these belts earlier. You may have noticed that in previous videos. I don't know. I tried a new belt on the alternator. Nothing I did was working. Eventually, I got a thought past my thick skull that maybe it's the pulley. And there was the cheaper stamp pulley on there, and once I paid attention to it, you could tell it was worn down. So I had another bad alternator at home. I took the fan and pulley off of it, and this is a nice solid pulley. So that problem is gone. It was charging on the gauge, so I think that part is fixed. So that just leaves oil pressure. I had oil pressure. I repaired the wire previously because someone had actually just took two broken ends of a wire, twisted it together, put tape over it, and plugged it back in. I thought I was doing it as a great service by being a little more professional. I got this connector from home, beefy wire. I don't know what that's all about, but anyway. So I used the same trick, the same tester on the oil pressure sending unit wiring as I did in back with the fuel sender, and no change, nothing happened with the gauge. Most likely that means the sending unit is fine. We have a wiring issue or a gauge issue. Now, when I first installed the gauges, I had oil pressure. And then, like I said, it slowly dropped off. And you may be thinking, dude, do you have oil in the engine? Yeah, I have oil in the engine. So unfortunately, the real victim here is the 1980s plastic. It is so brittle and crumbly. I just have to keep repairing new stuff as I go. But nothing else I can do. I've got to test the gauge. I've got to test the circuits here, make sure everything's working. So back off, it all comes again. Here we go. Okay, well, we had a dumb little problem, but a problem nevertheless. So, the posts on the back of your oil pressure gauge, you've got 3 posts, and you need power, ground, and a signal. This bottom one down here is your power, and messing around with multimeter, I wasn't finding my power terminal. These had signal to ground, but I wasn't getting any power. So I was about to take this whole assembly off and follow the route to the bulkhead connector, but I got out the timing light, or the troubleshooting light here, the test light, maybe that's what it's called, and I started scratching around. See, it's still not too sure of what it wants to do, but there's enough rust and corrosion on that thing that it's very inconsistent. And I actually even tried to get in here on all these terminals and scrub them with a little wire brush, but apparently didn't do too good a job. So I'm gonna have to maybe put some emery cloth on some kind of small, it'd have to be smaller than a pencil, but something round like that, and get that cleaned up nice, because we did not have power to begin with. So we'll stick that in there how it goes. And we have beautiful oil pressure. So I'm going to clean that up, and we are going to put this all back together again. So I just got in this morning. I was gonna finish up the instrument panel, but yes, we see a problem here, and I know it's the aftermarket pan on the transmission. Absolutely 100%. Barely sealed up with the thick cork. Well, it didn't seal with the thick cork gasket. I put the good quality ATK in. It was thinner. Still have a problem. So I still got the old transmission here. I'll flip it over, make sure it's the right bolt pattern. And I'll just clean up, and I know a factory original is gonna do just fine. So ATK, using cheap parts on the engine, cost me monster. Using cheap, we know where the pan's from, don't we? Cheap pan, that's gonna cost me too. Alright, well, she ain't perfect, but I put the factory pan back up, squirted it down with some Rust-Oleum, and I just touched it up again so it'll dry to a semi-gloss, but hopefully that takes care of the situation. Well, I've been continuing on our quest for electrical gremlins, and I think this is probably about the last thing I'm going to tackle here. Now, the brake light on the dash, I'm almost positive that's probably, that circuit is getting voltage from another circuit in, they're not, the circuit boards in the gauges behind the instrument panel on this era vehicle, GM, I don't know if other companies were doing it, but you basically had, copper strips that were laminated in plastic that went everywhere they needed it to. I'm almost betting either there or at that connection, because that connection, the little tabs, the ends of the copper strips can be kind of finicky sometimes, especially when they've been taken apart and put back together. I'm almost betting we're getting 12 volts from another circuit to that indicator light. That's why A, it stays on all the time, and B, when I do push the brake pedal, parking brake pedal down, it's getting 12 more volts from another circuit, and the bulb is getting brighter. So I'm going to talk to him about that, if he can live with it. Really, I think circuit boards are available, circuit strips, floppy disks, I don't know what you call them. But man, to take all that plastic apart again, everything is so brittle, and it would be nice if he would be willing to invest a little cash in the whole pod, the circuit board, the flat black bezel that goes around the gauges. Everything is just so brittle, and I'm really hesitating hard to take it apart again without some backup, some new parts, So we'll see what he says about that. Right now I am chasing down, we had no courtesy lights. The dome light is completely missing. I would at least like to get lights at the floorboards. I've already fixed it on the driver's side, and what somebody did, somebody's been in here and cutting wires and just twisting them back together and taping them, and the ground wire, as you can see, does nothing. I have voltage to here. Can prove it to you real quick, not that you don't believe me, but we've got voltage, we've got power. We've got power going through the bulb so it lights up, but we've got no ground. Doors open, hook those, nothing. So, and I could prove it to you. I can run continuity to ground with this wire, nothing happens. Got my hand back in here and I fished the wire coming from our door switch. And I actually snipped it. I have no idea where it goes, but it's clear this is not it. Okay, I've got no continuity between this and this. But we run a jumper wire to here, and we're grounding out clearly. Push on the switch and it closes. That's obvious. That's obviously how it should work. So all I'm going to do, I have no idea where this wire comes from. I do have continuity between this wire and the wire that they had on the other courtesy light. I don't know I don't know what wire this belongs to, but it's clearly not this system. And why they chose to use it, I don't know. But that was wrong. So we'll just tuck that back. We don't need it. I will run a wire from here to here, make it all nice and right, and we will say, let there be light. Now, just to prove to you, let me turn this back on so you can see, just to prove to you what they were doing here. You know, you just twist them things together and tape them up and it'll work all right. Yeah. Well, I mean, they did it. I mean, yeah, it should. If they had used the right circuit, I wouldn't even be here fixing it, right? So, okay. Okay, all systems are go. That one's working. Well, now, the way I left off, I was getting no power to the blower motor. Hot wired it to the battery, it runs. I don't know what this temperature thing, you know, it's got a wire going to the high side there, some kind of temperature switch or something. I don't even know if that's important. I've got a connector that's half melted. This red wire goes into here. I don't know if that's important. Be that as it may, all of that, I am not getting any power to here. Went in the car, pulled the control unit out, and I am getting power to the back of the unit. But when I pulled it out, I noticed we had duct tape holding it together. Whether or not that's a cause for alarm or not, I don't know. But I'm just going to pull this switch apart. That is definitely not, you know, it doesn't want to stay put, first of all. So I don't know if electrical contacts are even being respected down in there at the moment. So I'm going to pull this head unit off and see what that looks like. Okay. Well, about 1,000 springs just fell out, so that's cool. Okay, maybe 3. Seems fairly obvious where they go. So these would be my contacts. Sorry if I'm not showing you what's going on. I mean, I don't see any obvious signs that it's shot. It's just cannot hold itself together to create the contact it needs. Assuming this clip doesn't grab anything anymore. So that could be a big problem. I suppose what I could do is kind of pinch just this together, connect the wiring harness, although it would probably have to run through that as well. Yeah, I'm betting 100% that the broken plastic clip, because when I get it all together and I feel the spring pressure on this thing, there's no way duct tape was holding that together. And I know it wasn't because it was separated, but I bet you 100% that was the cause, that it just wasn't making contact anymore inside there. So I'm going to look around for a plastic clip that might work. I just really doubt I'll find one. We're going to have to come up with some kind of plan here so that this holds together. Man, even almost a big pop rivet would do it, but I don't know. I'll try to come up with something. So I'm thinking it would be a long, hard search to find the correct plastic clip that held this thing together. Certainly no local parts store. I mean, crazier things have happened, but I really doubt it. You know, you can't find common parts anymore at your local parts store. So let's start over. So I really think it would be a long, hard search to find the correct plastic clip that once held this thing together. You know, crazier things have happened, but you can't even find common parts at your local parts store for most of these vehicles anymore, let alone something like this. So what I need is a kind of a broad head on this side, on the top side, and we have all kinds of room there where it was duct tape. On the bottom side, however, it's got a squared off recessed hole, and that clip must have just grabbed the two edges, you know, there and there, so it was up in there flush. So I took and smashed the head of a cotter pin, squared it off a little, so hopefully that'll stay put in there. Then I'm going to take one of these bigger speed nuts, push that over the clip, and then I'll even bend the cotter pin over on this side. So hopefully that'll grab the top half and hold it all together. It should. Just figured out my camera was zoomed in, so no wonder I've been having trouble showing everything. I have trouble when it's not zoomed in. Anyway, I wrestled that thing on there. So now all that remains is to just bend those. I better do that with two hands. But I think that's going to work. Okay, most of you probably caught it. I sure didn't, but I clocked my two halves 180 degrees opposite. So I got to do it again, but I did a much better job the second time. So perhaps it was worth it, right? Anyway, I cleaned this all up a bunch. I re-greased it. So I'm ready to go back in with it, I think. Blend door is nice and free. Put some grease on there. Here's on the blend door part, there's a clip exactly like what we just replaced. See, the two little tabs on this end are just missing. So I don't know. We got it done, and it'll hold together better than plastic, that's for sure. Hopefully it'll work. Okay, I just have the, I didn't mean to do that. Just have the electricals hooked up. Here we go. Not sure why we lose high speed. Huh. If my resistor was the problem, we'd have high speed. We'd only have high speed normally. I wonder if this switch is shot. Okay guys, I have part of an answer. Low, medium, second medium, high speed. All four are working. Well, let's go take a look at what I did. Now, I'm not going to brag about my expensive test equipment here. Don't be jealous. I'm just saying. We got a screwdriver shoved in the back of this is our high-speed blower motor relay. Okay, this is what switches. I believe the blue wire is your power source from your resistor. So when your heater or your blower motor only blows on high, that's always a sure indication your resistor is shot, right? We know that. And that's your different speeds there, okay? When you want high, then that's pure, unadulterated, 100% 12 volts going to the blower motor, and they used a relay. So this is your relay. Now, I took the blower motor off my 86 and I tried it on here. Same thing, no high speed. I pulled my high-speed relay off the 86. I also pulled it off the 81. All three, same thing. They all do click. They're all working. No high speed. So, we have a problem of no direct link between the battery and the high-speed relay to provide that high-speed power. You just saw me test this. We have a direct link to the power wire. What they did is they had a fusible link and a power wire from the starter to here. Okay? So that's what's going on there. That fusible link is shot, or I hooked it up wrong on the starter, which I don't think I did, but be that as it may. We'll double check that. Now, I still have a problem in that this connector I can find no information about. This has continuity to our power wire that I'm hooked into now. This is the other end, or at least a a branch off of our pressure switch, and then this is ground. I have no clue. It's all melted and abused here, but I have no clue what that one's hooked to. This could have had a signal wire from throttle linkage or transmission, so that when you were mashing on the throttle, you were at full throttle, your compressor would cut out, so that you're not over revving your AC compressor. I don't know that this is that, but I don't know what this is and where it goes. So, will the compressor even cycle with this just hanging here? I don't know. But I've got to figure out my power wire. We'll do that first, and I'll try to figure that out. Yeah. So at this point in time, I'm a little confused as to just what is going on. But I'm kind of at the opinion that at some point in time, someone eliminated an AC wiring harness. Now, I had this compressor connector, and I rewired that. You'll remember as we went through the wiring before we started this thing the first time, I extended the wires a couple feet going to the compressor so that they could run on the inner fender and not across the engine. I added wire there, something was there. However, my dark wire should have continuity from the pressure switch to the compressor. I do not. That should be the signal, that should be the voltage to engage the clutch, and I do not have it. All I have is to this melted connector. Furthermore, I do not have ground from this connector at the compressor. That is not connected to ground. Where this harness connector to the compressor, where it goes, what it's doing, is it just cut somewhere back there? and someone removed the harness that plugs into that end. That is what I'm thinking. So, since I have everything over on this inner fender, I am going to cut this connector off. I will splice the green wire. I have continuity from here to here. So I will find a place and I will connect this end to the wires that I have going to my compressor in here somewhere. I will also find the ground wire coming out of the compressor and make sure that goes to ground. And then the only thing left is the big old power supply wire. Is this, the only question I have, is this directly wired to the starter? You know, and I really need to cut apart that fusible link and run continuity between this and down there and see if this is the wire coming up from there. If so, then I just need to get this red wire going into our relay. That's what I'm thinking. A system should only need those things to get what I'm lacking here. So, I don't know. That's part of the game we play here, you know. So I'm going to start tracing wires to this thing and, you know, doing everything I just explained. Oh, I also went to town and got a fusible link. So there we go. Okay, we're starting to get a bead on it, and I think I'm almost there. There are 4 wires that connect to the battery, or to the starter solenoid. I actually have 3 of those wires with fusible links. Okay. Now, of course, where'd it go? This wire was my energize wire from ignition switch. So you wouldn't think that would be the one you need, because you only get power when you turn the key. The other 2 were on the positive battery cable stud. And lo and behold, I've got a cut wire. Now on the schematics, and thankfully I finally found wiring schematics. Not necessarily, it was more for Malibus, I think, but they were for A and G bodies, and started leading me in the right direction. One of these went to the light switch circuit, one of these went to the ignition switch circuit. And I think the ignition switch circuit, being you want the key on for power with your climate control, I'm pretty sure that is the one, the circuit, that the AC is on. But yeah, anyway, lo and behold, I pulled this heat shrinking, or whatever that's pretending to be, I don't know, back, and somebody has snipped a wire. So that could very well be our AC wire. I don't know 100%, but we're going to go with it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to splice in my fusible link that I bought on this leg here, solder it in, get it all nice and secure, and then I will go to my red wire, go into my relay. You know, guys, it's so easy to get overwhelmed, to get frustrated, to feel like you're in over your head, you have no idea what you're doing. I have been there so many times in my life, and yet I cannot think of a single project where I eventually didn't come up with the answer, you know. Especially working on old stuff. And all you can do is just keep searching, keep digging, keep calling people who might know, and just keep moving one step at a time, you know. And I guarantee you, you'll get it. And in situations where no one can help you, you think no one can help you, you know who to talk to about it. He'll lead you in the right direction. He'll get you the help you need. All you got to do is give him the time of day and stop thinking that your problems aren't important to him. You know? He's not people. He's way above people that let you down and call you stupid. The thing is, when you do get the help you need, don't forget to thank him, right? Yeah. So electronically, I think I'm ready. I've got everything, those 3 wires spliced under the hood. We'll just see. Okay. I've got high now. I'm going to put at least most of this back to where it's in there. I also have some vacuum lines under the hood I need to take care of. That way I know, at least hopefully, my doors will work to where I get the in-your-face cold air. And then, hopefully, we can charge this thing. So I found this vacuum wiring diagram, and I think it's pretty close to what's going on this car. Anyway, it's a bit of a help, you know. On our vacuum tank, I got one line, and one line is missing. Kind of a funny looking thing going on there. I hope it seals. Our heater valve is unhooked. What else? Anyway, I'm just missing lines, and I've been kind of looking over the car for a while, trying to discover where they went through the firewall with these things. Ended up inside, and I found it. And this wire loom that goes to that thing. Name is escaping me at the moment. Anyway, you look clear down underneath the blower motor box here, and you can see a rotten purple vacuum line down there. So yeah, it's clear down under there. So right now I am taking off the inner fender, or at least the outside edge, and see if I can pull it down enough to access those vacuum lines, and we'll determine what to do from there. So once I remove the county brush pile from this inner fender here, we can look up, and there is a gray hose and a purple hose, or a violet hose. Those are the 2 I need. One's going to hook into the vacuum tank right there. This is going to be my vacuum source from the engine, which is what that is. And then the gray is going to the heater water valve and into the control switch. So this will go to the gray one down there, this will go to the purple one down there, and then this to the engine, and that should be all I need. And I'm just going to try to slip this stuff over, may even zip tie it. We'll see how it seals. Okay, I have one 12-ounce can, and I have our 3-ounce leak detector can in there. You can hear our compressor is cycling. So everything is operating. I don't have good flow to my ducts up there. We still have warm air down below. So I probably need to work on the vacuum system of our blend doors. I don't know. We'll find out. So I put the prescribed amount in. Should be 52 ounces according to the books. That was 3.25, 3¼ pounds. Like I believe I said, I put in 51 ounces. And now my compressor, the accumulator is ice cold. Seems to be working great. So it's warmer in here than I thought it was. It's about 75. You know, I went out the door today, it was like 51 degrees, but I guess stayed warmer in the shed, which is probably obvious. So my handy little chart here that came with my gauge set says 75. You should be seeing 35 to 45 psi on the low side, which is what we're seeing, 45. 150 to 170 psi on the high side. I'm seeing anywhere between 175 and 200. That's more like 80 degrees. Let me look again at the thermometer. Yeah, it's just below 80 in here, so at least on that side of the shop. And I know it's warm right in here because of what we're doing. So I think we're actually okay. It cycles much more regularly when I have RPM to it, which is probably obvious. Accumulator, like I said, is ice cold. I'm getting about 50 degrees to the floor vent right now. I've got to figure out what's going on with the in-your-teeth face vents. So I'll do that on my own, see if I can figure that out, if we got a bad vacuum line somewhere or whatever. Now I know what you're thinking. Is that Steve McQueen? And no, I can assure you it's still me. I don't know where that came from. Anyway, Monday morning I went to the parts store. We have a Moog Fest going on here, as you can tell. Had the car up on the lift. Well, actually, when I was driving it and playing around, I didn't like the steering. You know, it's a little loosey-goosey, and I'll show you what's going on when we get it back up in the air. Pretty much every joint in the steering needs a little help. So we're going to take care of that. And then that's pretty much it. On Thursday and Friday, it was in the mid to high 90s. Saturday, our oldest and we met our dad at Air Show in Great Bend. It was mid 80s for a high. Yesterday, Sunday, it was 57 for a high. This morning, it was 45 when I got up. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Fall is definitely a guy's favorite. I grew up our family would go camping every year, every other year in Colorado. And you know, we'd camp 7,000, 8,000, 9,000 feet up. You know, the high mountain campgrounds, well, you know what I mean. In the trees yet, not above the tree line. And that's what I always view beautiful weather as. It's overnight in the 40s, and when you wake up, and then highs in the 70s. Of course, Kansas kids, we wore, you know, it was amazing to have shoes on at all. We ran around barefoot back home. all summer long. Gravel, doesn't matter. We would just run around. The grass, the gravel, the fields, the pastures, climbing trees, always barefoot. Anyway, we'd be up in Colorado, all we'd take was shorts, you know. So we'd get up, we'd probably wear a jacket, but we were in shorts in 40 degrees up in the mountains. Anyway, I don't even know why I'm telling you all that. I'm getting everything prepared here, getting all my grease zerks installed. I think on the tie rods on this, the only difference between tie rods is the location of the grease zerk. Just in case that's important to anybody. But I pretty much have everything. Pitman arm doesn't have a joint in it. That is in the connecting the center link. Could not come up with it for a second there. So we're going to raise the vehicle. I'm going to measure, get an exact measurement side to side of what our tie rod spacing should be. I'm going to hit it as close as I possibly can. Hopefully we can avoid an alignment. It would still be best that they get it checked. But if we can get it close on the toe, then that is going to be good enough for now. So let's raise this thing up. Okay, let's see if I can show you what's going on here. First of all, with the pitman arm, hopefully I don't knock you all over the place, but especially right in here as I move the tires back and forth. Then on the pitman side, well, that's pretty easy to see. And it looks like my camera's about dead, so I better hurry this up, but tie rods, they're all pretty much like this. That's not good. These are better, but they've got some jiggle in them. So I'm going to start tearing all this apart, and I'm going to go plug my battery in. Here's your old, and here's your new. Got her all together. Pretty much what would be the right hand side of the vehicle. That was 18 1/16 on the one I took out. And then on the left hand side it was 18 even. I'm very, very close, if not dead on already, but I'm going to leave my sleeves loose for now. When I get it installed and everything clocked right, then we'll recheck it and readjust. New idler on there, the joint for the pitman, ready to go. Every grease gun I find in this joint and every new tube of grease, it's just like I've thrown away about half a dozen Valvoline tubes, because even in the new ones it's just like wax. Everything is so old and dried out and unused for too many years. However, in the shelf where I'm just moving all the oil products and so forth, found this old Case International can or tube, and that's still grease. So I'm going to try putting it in this grease gun. I don't even know if that works, and I don't know if I can get it to move the wax out of the tube, you know. If not, I'll run home and get my own. There's a lid to a new Valvoline tube. Probably make some nice candles out of that, you know. Okay, let that hang down. There you go. Help hold everything in place. Yeah, tie rod's hung up, and then we'll search for a magnet. Fish those bolts out of the frame. Waxy grease is going to be good for something. I don't even think that's the right socket, but that's okay. I'm going to use it to hold my bolt in the socket. Okay, I have the right hand one set where it belongs. Whoa, 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 whoa. Don't you be doing that, mister. Okay. So we're going to do the same over here. I'm just going to cinch down my tie rod. Put the pin in it in a second. Now all I'm going to do, I'm just measuring from the center of the grease zerk. That's a good precise place to measure, more or less, to the center of our tie rod bolt up here. And I'm at 17 and 13/16. I need to go 3/16 spread apart farther there. All right, I'm going to get her all greased up and recheck everything. Wow, I really made a mess of that. That was already packed with grease now that I think about it. Can I even reach these with this gun? Oh. Only about half of it's going in. Anyway, I'll probably wipe it all down, spray a little paint on it so it doesn't just rust immediately, and then we're going to consider it done. Just cleaning up a guy's glass, and it all has this nasty overspray feel to it. And if none of you have ever heard about it, get the finest steel wool you can find, you know, the very fine quadruple aughts, maybe triple. Maybe even double, I don't know. Make sure it's very fine. And that'll take those stubborn bugs, stuff like this, right off of there. That is feeling much, much better. Okay guys, I'm going to try to make this as short and sweet as possible. This is the segment of the video where I talk about what I've done to the lights. The customer requested LED lights on all four corners. Headlights and taillights is what I'm saying. And I have unfortunately not been able to follow through on that request in the back. I'll walk around and show you all the lights when we're done here. I actually was most of the way through filming for a video of replacing all the lights. I don't think I'll end up doing anything with it, especially because of how our LED tail lights ended up. So through Dixie Restoration Depot, once again, those guys are awesome, I bought a product called Digitails. And in the video process, I had a lot of great jokes about Digitalis. You know, it was comedy gold. It was genius. Unfortunately, it all went to the wayside. But what you get from Digitails is a flat LED panel. All of the LEDs are where your bulbs belong. It obviously looks a little different, you know how LEDs are. There's a separate section for the backup lights, and then you got all your tail lights and the brighter element for the turn and the brake. Well, in that process, you obviously have to fillet the backside of your tail light pod lens thing, you know. And then you silicone their panel on. You can choose sequential or non-sequential, and away you go. And I thought it was working great, okay? Which it was if I had the headlight switch on. When the headlights were on, everything was working. When I turned them off, nothing back here would work. I thought that was mighty strange. I contacted Dixie Restoration Depot. They contacted Digitails because they are a vendor. And they said he will call or email you. And they thought it was strange because they typically, they admitted they don't sell a lot of this product, but they also haven't had much trouble with it, is what they said. Well, it took 2 or 3 weeks to hear from Digitails. I got a business card in the package of the kit. I emailed him directly, Digitails directly. I kept calling Dixie Restoration, no one's getting in touch with me. Finally, after 3 weeks, a guy called me. He was super nice, he was being helpful, he seemed completely willing to send me a replacement kit if I could not get this working. His one request was, if I could, take the panels out, take this, and bench test them. In the process of talking to him on the phone, I hadn't realized yet that they would work with the headlights on. So during the process of talking to him, I turned the headlights on, and I walked back here, and everything was working. So I was like, oh man, I don't know, man, everything is working now. So he was like, okay, well, if you have any more problems, get in touch with me and we'll get you a replacement. You know. Well, it was a short time later, I realized it was only working because the headlight switch was on. So I started the process all over again. I called Dixie Restoration Depot, told them the thing. They got in touch with him. I tried getting in touch with them. Again, 2 or 3 week delay, no response. This thing is ready to go home otherwise. So I said, man, I've just got to take care of this situation. So I ended up buying factory replacement lenses. You've got little wiring harnesses that go to the back of this that you have to solder onto your car harness. I cut all of that back off. I resoldered all of the original sockets back on, cleaned up all the bulbs, and here we are, the factory style look. Once again, I prefer it anyway. The customer wanted LEDs. I'm going to recommend that he, if he really wants LEDs, get online and buy the little bulb replacement LEDs. I'm not so sure they're even DOT approved, you know, if that matters to you, but that's going to have to be the answer for now. If I could have had better customer service from Digitails and gotten a replacement kit in short order, I feel it's partly my fault because I thought they were working when they actually weren't. And I did take both out, tie them together on the bench with a battery, and tested everything. And indeed, on the bench, they only work if your park light circuit is energized as well. So I'm 100% confident it is not the vehicle wiring, it is in the LED circuits. So, I only tell you that because that has been part of this process. I bring you along for the ride. I 100% believe Digitails would give me a replacement free of charge if you could ever get a hold of the guys. Dixie Restoration has been super helpful. And how we have left it is he will continue to try to get in touch with Digitails, and they will get the replacement kit. Dixie Restoration will. I will get a refund, and we're going to run with the good old incandescents, you know. So, and honestly, guys, if you clean up, you know, buff out the old faded plastic, make sure there's no dirt in the lenses, clean off the bulbs, you're going to have adequate taillights. But that's just me. So this is what we're looking like otherwise. LED headlights, they're still a glass headlight, you know, but it's got the halogen style, the modern style connection, that bulb that you put in to the back, except it is LED. I'm sure many of you have already seen that. They've got little fans behind them. Once the truck goes by, if you can hear that thing whining in there, keep them cool. But otherwise, yeah, I think they're going to work fine. I have cleaned up all the lenses, replaced bulbs all the way around. Rear side markers weren't working. The wiring was atrocious, fixed all that. Tail lights, side marker, everything's good to go. Backup lights, neutral safety switch on the column was out of adjustment, so I had to play around with that, and then I had backup lights, so that's good. But like I say, if you're unhappy with factory bulbs and so forth, most of the time clean up the lenses, wipe the dust, the 40 years of dust off the bulbs, maybe get new lenses, and you're going to be happy with it, honestly. At least I am. Now the left front brake persists in locking up on a guy. The only thing that I have not replaced on this entire vehicle and the entire brake system is the proportioning valve and the steel lines. We've got flow in this front line here, and it's doubtful really that a steel line isn't that kind of problem when the brakes apply but it doesn't release. I'm setting my sights on the proportioning valve, which I have one. I don't know. We will find out. I do have new rubber lines on here. They are questionable, as always, with everything these days. But I really doubt it's that, because the problem was present. I took it out and drove it right after we put the engine and transmission in. Me and my son took it out, drove it around a little, and this one locked up on us, and ended up having to pull it home behind the Trailblazer. So, yeah, I'm just gonna replace that and we'll see what happens. So interestingly, my theory, asinine as it was wrong. My brake light was not receiving power from another circuit. It was operating the way it was supposed to. Proportioning valve was at least electronically bad. Now that I've replaced it, obviously no brake light. So, all B, the 81 technology was operating correctly. So that's a great thing. And we can see, well, where'd my, oh, there, it was delayed reaction. Press on the parking brake, and that switch is indeed working. So, very, very good. Happy days. know, when I take a project vehicle out for the first time, I always feel a bit like Lane Myers. Remember the 80s movie Better Off Dead? I mean, maybe not the best movie, but when he and the French girl got the black Camaro rolling out the garage for the first time, I don't know why, it's an obscure movie with a very small hot rod part, but I always think of that. The garage door opening, you see the blacked out grill coming out the first time. Oh yeah. And the Japanese guys at the stoplight all the time. Well, my brake problem is completely fixed. Proportioning valve did it. I am not at all happy with the fuel pump. It is incredibly loud. I have got the plate and the hanger that I made on the front of the fuel tank completely. Every attachment point is has got rubber sandwiched in between it. I put extra rubber cushions under the fuel pump screws themselves. Still just loud. Not at all happy. I may contact Holly, see if I can get a different one. Other than that, I would like to straighten up. I need to adjust my tie rods after having replaced all that. I'll see if I can straighten the steering wheel out a little bit. Other than that, I'm going to put it back up on the lift, check everything out once again. But I'm pretty sure we are good to go. Well guys, there you go. I think that is finally going to be the end of this project. Shh. You're so noisy out there. We're done for now. We've done the engine. How many times have I said that? We've done the engine. 355 horse crate motor, the Vortec 350. We've done the monster transmission. We've done the Holley Sniper fuel injection. We modified the exhaust. We put Hedman headers on it. It's got HEI. We've done the AC. We've replaced a lot of the cooling system components. We installed digital lights, headlights, tail lights. Went through the entire brakes. We freshened up the interior, new dash, replacement instrument panel, new gauges, auxiliary gauges. Basically just cleaned everything up in there, fixed what was wrong, replaced what was missing, got it ready to go. There's got to be so much more. I don't even remember what all I've done anymore, but should be good to go. I'm going to continue to drive it just a little bit more, work the kinks out of it, give the Holley Sniper as much learning experience as I can before it goes back home. Make sure the brakes behave themselves, make sure the fuel pump, everything behaves itself. And then in the future, I don't know. We'll find out what the guy wants. It may be back for paint. It may be back for a complete interior overhaul, the things that we did not fix. We'll just see. But I'm going to get with him, see when he wants to pick it up, and we'll just move on. I really appreciate you guys that have come with me on all the videos for this El Camino. Obviously, it is not a favorite subject matter for this channel, getting much lower views, but you guys that come around no matter what, you are awesome. You are the reason I do this, more so than a huge number of views. I really appreciate the blessing and the encouragement that you guys are, that come around no matter what I'm doing, you know. So, thank you so much for that. We will see you on the next one. God bless you guys. Bye-bye. Did you miss the mullet? I don't know.